2022. And I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson. Let's start by meeting tonight's host. First, it's welcoming FayWhat. She's a radio and television personality and has a popular blog and YouTube channel aiming to unite the L and G together. And you've got to watch the new FayWhat show, the world's first morning LGBT show, Mondays at 9 a.m. Welcome, Faye.
Hi, welcome. I'm happy to be back. And what an incredible week we've had on the FayWhat show. Make sure that you tune in and check it out. Let's just say I start off the show in bed with a very hunky gay boy that's not Tony Lima, and he's very jealous about it.
Yes. So mad.
I had fun with you.
Yeah, she... Wait, you beat me to the joke, so I'm just going to walk away. I'm going to back away quietly. All right, next, let's welcome John Hayden. John's been a journalist for 27 years and now works for several South Florida outlets, including SFGN, covering politics, arts, and the bar scene, mostly only to cover the latest on Happy Hour News. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Al. And you know what? I am so ready for this weekend. It's going to be huge. It is the...
Wait, what are we talking about? Huge.
Oh, yeah, because it's going to be a Hollywood Pride, and there's going to be some hugeness there. Hollywood Pride, the first one ever. Kickball, winter season of kickball is kicking off. So get out, enjoy winter. This is what we pay Florida property taxes, so we can do this stuff in January. Let's have fun.
I never thought I would be associated with a show that talked about kickball. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, you can read about my preview in this week's SFGN.
Oh,
online
there's
self-promoting.
On Stands Tomorrow.
There, on Stands Tomorrow. Got it. All right. Next, let's welcome Patricia Hernandez. She is an attorney who practices immigration and family law and has won numerous community awards. Welcome, Patricia.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here, and it's so exciting that Hollywood Pride is coming up, so I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
Yay, Patty.
And finally, and I mean finally, let's welcome Tony Lima. See, the shade begins right at the top. He is a longtime South Florida LGBTQ plus advocate, and of course, you know, he's the CEO, we're so happy about the news, at SunServe, one of South Florida's most important LGBTQ plus services organization. Good evening, Tony.
Hey, Al. You are just asking to be showgirled out of these shows and have Tony Lima host everything. That's what you're asking for.
Yeah.
But thanks. I'm happy to be here with some of my dearest friends in the whole world. Yeah. It's such a great show when you get to work with family.
Yeah,
so I'm excited to be here with you all.
That's so nice that you were only speaking about.
I was going to say,
all right.
Not about Al Ferguson.
So good evening, South Florida and America. As I said, we are the first and most popular live LGBTQ talk show in the world, and it's getting ready to be even better as we announce that on February 1st, It's Happening Out moves to television, broadcasting live on Roku, Apple Television, Google TV, and Amazon Fire Television. And tonight, that means let's do It's Happening Out, and we have so much to talk about next on It's Happening Out.
This week on It's Happening Out. Join us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It all starts right now, live on It's Happening Out.
Well, we remind you, you are watching a live and unedited LGBTQ talk show, so anything can happen and likely you're going to see it. If you're on YouTube, by the way, make sure you subscribe and click that bell for updates. If you're on Facebook, like and share this video. Come on, support our community. Well, let's begin with a unique meme of the week. It's called "The Gays Coming Through Customs After the Atlantis Cruise." You know, the Atlantis Cruise is going on right now.
What is it, their 50th, 30th anniversary?
30th anniversary, and there it is.
Will someone tell us what that was?
Was that Jasmine Price Lords' bag there?
There's a 50-50 chance that Jasmine's not going to make it back off the ship. First off,
what the hell?
The best is the face of the...
Yeah, right?
It's still in the package, so it wasn't that good a vacation.
okay, all right.
Yeah, the face is like, Oh, girl.
I have to ask, because there's not, everyone's kind of holding their breath. 5,000 gay men on a cruise in January in Omicron. What do you think? What do you think we're going to hear next week?
I think we're going to hear, oh, Macron.
And that has nothing to do with COVID-19. All right, it's Happening Out, as you know, is part of a partnership between Happening Out Television Network and Hotspots Magazine. Hotspots, our print magazine partner, is celebrating 36 years of documenting the LGBTQ plus experience. Congratulations. Together, we bring you the best of LGBTQ news, entertainment, and support of our LGBTQ community. Okay, let's get this thing started. Who needs a drink?
Desperate.
Guilty.
I do.
You guys, big
It's-
time.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of our show. Let's play our yes or no game called I'd Swallow That. We invite you at home to play right along with us. Get something to drink. It can be water. Hopefully it'll be straight vodka, tequila, even better. If you got some grain alcohol handy, then we have a party. I'm going to ask these hosts 4 questions. If they agree with the question, then they're going to take the shot. And here's one of the shots that we're getting ready to take. I'm always asked, is it real? Yes. Have you not watched me after doing 4 of them too quickly? And if they disagree, well, it's going to be a long night for everybody, but especially me.
Especially you. And let's just say, look, everybody knows that I'm in recovery, so my shots are never alcohol, right? Everybody else's are. But why is mine red like blood? Like, am I drinking?
Who wants to answer that?
Okay.
Because by
We're giving
drinking
you
the blood of
your
the
daily
straight
dose of
people, we
blood.
live
Yes.
longer.
Okay.
You're getting your daily dose of blood.
That's
Got
what
it.
it is.
All right,
All
let's
right. See?
Just be
It's
positive.
great for me because I didn't say a word. All right, let's play I'd Swallow That. All right, cruising. You know, a lot of young LGBT probably don't even know what cruising is. Cruising is a time-honored tradition in the gay community. Back before there were hookup apps or gay bars, when being gay was still illegal, cruising was how the community came together. I'd swallow that question. Okay, right. Oh, yeah, it does say that, doesn't it? I'd swallow that question number 1. A new photo exhibition seems foreign to me. It's not 1990, and we don't need public cruising areas anymore. We don't. Do we?
Wait, I'm supposed to drink that we don't need them?
No, we don't,
don't
need
need
them?
them.
Oh.
I'll just save this for later in the show.
Yeah, I'm not going to drink it either because we don't need them, but we want them and we still have them. Thank God there
Yeah.
still are. You know, there's some parks on South Beach that are still cruising places. There's some dark places in Wilton Manors that are still cruising places. And, you know, not everybody is tech savvy.
Wait, the girls are going where? Wait, where are you cruising?
Where am I cruising? You're married, Patricia. You shouldn't be cruising.
I'm not cruising anywhere. I haven't said a word.
Cruise your ass to
I haven't said a word. I drank my shot.
Wait.
I drank my
said a
shot too
word.
because we're the prudes on this side.
Wait,
Clearly.
Hey, you're married too. Where are you?
Shit, I
cruising?
am.
Yeah, I was going to say sis.
You know, my favorite cruising experience was on Fire Island back in the mid-90s. I had a 3-way with Bert and Ernie, and I was farting felt for a week.
Oh, child.
They just get worse every week.
They do.
They just get worse.
You know,
But we love you, John Hayden.
We're showing pictures in New York City
Great
of cruising. This is at the Christopher Street Piers
At the
on
pier.
West Side.
Yes.
I love that picture, by the way. I had 2 years in a row where I went to New York. I started at the Stonewall Inn, drinks at the Stonewall, up Christopher Street going west to West Side, stopped at Potbelly Stove, iconic restaurant on Christopher Street. Lots of the shops and interesting places to see, and then ending up at the Christopher Street Piers, and it was amazing. That was a fantastic Friday or Saturday night. Or
When was that? 1960 what?
I was going to say, and all that lead up, and then he's like, and then I got to the piers. What?
you want me to tell you stories?
Yeah, tell us some stories.
Share some
You're
stories.
looking at the, well, look at the pictures. You're figuring it out. Wait, no.
Bring it back.
Tony, you've never been cruising and led to something that was like, wow.
I didn't need to cruise because we had the hotline by that point. We had beepers. We had other ways of connecting with people.
Beepers?
You hooked up with
You
a
guys don't remember
beeper?
beepers?
Of course,
Yes.
no.
beepers, but like, how would you cruise on a beeper? 143, 143.
You ask for a number and then you're no, actually, you know what? We'll talk later.
I'm going to let Tony Lima off the hook.
No, listen, as a man of a certain age, Al, you would have cruising stories that I would never be able to tell because I didn't live that life.
Much younger than me.
I'm a lot younger than you are.
Oh my God.
Wait, Tony, were you on Fire Island in the mid-90s?
No. Sorry, I almost choked on my liquor. No.
I got to move on. This is gonna,
Yeah, let's
this is
just
gonna
move
get
on.
really awkward. All right. Winter Party Festival made headlines in 2020. Remember, it became a major COVID breakout, the first one of the pandemic for the LGBTQ community. I'd swallow that. Number 2, with Omicron, I would have made the exact same decision to cancel Winter Party Festival. Would you all have done that?
No.
You would
Cancel
not
it?
have canceled
No.
it. Yeah, would
Oh,
you
I
have
would have
canceled it?
canceled
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If I was a big, trusted, responsible organization like the task force, yes. Okay. But the reality is that, yeah, they canceled this, and I've already seen a ton of pop-up parties that are going to happen at the same time. So other people are going to come in. The boys are still going to go to another party.
Yeah.
Get vaccinated.
What is wrong with
Jesus, people, get vaccinated. I've been sitting here. I feel like I'm in timeout. I'm still with all of you guys. You guys are my friends, but I miss you. I miss having that close conversation with it. Get vaccinated and get on the cruise.
You know,
it's that simple.
I want to. The winter party is an on-land party, John. Just to give you some context of what John's just talking about, here at It's Happening Out, we have gone back to social distancing here on the set. We had social distance. We ended that. We came back together. We
Look,
require
I can't punch-
vaccination.
I can't punch John.
That's
See?
right. We can't show you a group table shot because we're not all. We're all in proximity. We can all see each other, but we are in social distancing, and that's what John is talking about. I'm curious in terms of this question. Do you all see a difference of the National Task Force being an advocacy organization making this decision versus private promoters making this decision?
So I feel like they had to make this decision because last time around, they went through with the party. Several people got sick. It became a super spreader event.
Some died.
Passed,
Some died.
Right? Some passed. So this was the right and responsible thing to do because they didn't do it the first time around.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
it-
absolutely needed.
And it
now.
must have not been easy, Tony, for them to do that because this is one of their
A loss
biggest
of revenue.
fundraisers.
Absolutely.
It's one of their biggest, if not the biggest, of the year. Like that is a lot of naked gay boys.
Yeah.
You know, but we know a lot more about COVID-19 now than we did back then. You know, I mean, certain safety protocols could have been put into place to maybe have it safely, but I mean, it's just a lot of ifs.
Yo,
you know what I mean?
I'm curious to your reaction about having parties like this. Clearly, Atlantis going on this week, gay boys apparently, and I'm talking about the entire LGBTQ community, but gay boys didn't have any problem. 5,000 gay boys. Hey, make sure you watch the pictures. They are stunningly beautiful, but there's 5,000 gay guys on the largest cruise ship in the world sailing from South Florida.
But Al, there's a couple thousand every weekend at any of the clubs here in Miami Beach. We have 24-hour clubs here, and I'm not going to call them out, but the reality is that there's 1,000 gay boys there every weekend, nonstop, and it has been like that for a while.
At the end of the day,
And
are
cruising
we,
has come back anyway. So, I mean, they're still doing regular cruising. I mean, you know, so cruising
Yeah.
has come back and people still take, I guess what I would say is just you take, you know, you make your own decisions, right? You're an
and
adult, you make
what do
your
y'all
own
think about the
decisions.
concept? You call out very clearly about vaccination. All of us are vaccinated here. All of our production is vaccinated. Right. Faye gets a booster every single week.
She did for a while.
I did just in case, you know?
Just in case. What do y'all think about the idea that this is a pandemic, that there's two pandemics going on? One pandemic is for the vaccinated, and the percentage numbers are overwhelmingly spectacular, and those that are unvaccinated and overwhelmingly critically disappointed. What do y'all think about that? The unvaccinated are the numbers we all are talking about.
It sucks. It sucks. I mean, I'm sorry. Like straight up, it sucks because all that affects us. Remember early on when vaccines first came out, we're like, we don't want to be indoors anymore. We don't want to be quarantined anymore. We want to enjoy and have fun. It's still affecting us. So things like this get canceled because people didn't get vaccinated in time. Hopefully, this kind of put the fire under people's asses to go get vaccinated.
You know what's interesting though, you guys? They had the gala in October that most of us were at, right? With the gala, there were very strict protocols. You had to submit your vaccination information. They even had, if I'm remembering correctly, like testing at the entrance of the gala, right? So it's interesting that they chose to go through with the gala and trusted in and asked people for their vaccination cards and whatnot. But for this event, there wasn't that kind of protocol.
But
Tony,
the new variant wasn't
help me remember. How much were we paying to support National Task Force? How much were we paying for that ticket for the
$500.
Oh, well, there's the difference.
You know, I'm glad that's where you went.
Yeah.
But listen, these winter party like week-long tickets and stuff are just as much.
They're not cheap.
They're
either.
not cheap.
Yeah, that's true.
Again,
that's true.
and that gala was before this new variant.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just feel it's kind of hard to police like like such large crowds. I guess I would say the galas usually tends to be like a smaller crowd, not as big, so it's hard to police it.
Yeah.
But I will say, I mean, hopefully, a lot of the stories around people who weren't vaccinated and got COVID and got hospitalized, they always show them saying like, now I wish I would have gotten vaccinated, or, I'm telling people now get vaccinated. This illness is no joke. So hopefully.
I want to interrupt you, and I'm just curious. Are we tired of the unvaccinated? Are we tired from the standpoint of going, look, if you haven't done it, I can't worry about you anymore? Are we to that point?
I think Scrooge in Dickens' A Christmas Carol said it best: if they would rather die than get on with it and decrease the surplus population.
Yeah.
Okay, but it still affects us. I'm not over it. I will still continue to tell people to get vaccinated because all our stuff is being canceled on their account.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right. Let's move on. This is a strange story. Patricia and Faye will identify with this very closely. Dolphins may be the horniest creatures in the sea. There's a that was shady what I just did. They are known for having sex for fun and even raping. Oh, wait, maybe I set this up incorrectly. And even raping other animals. Now it turns out that they have functional clitorises. I'd swallow that. Question number 3. Nature is so cool when scientists learn dolphins are having lesbian sex.
Go Dolphins.
Did you say go Dolphins? All right.
Yeah, not the team.
Do we
These
think it's
dolphins,
cool,
these
first
lesbian
off,
dolphins.
that we've
I think
discovered?
it's awesome.
It's very cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's awesome they discovered it. I mean, and they finally discovered, the dolphins having clitoris, they now know how pleasurable it is. so go for the dolphins.
I kind of spit up my pot, by the way.
Why did you joke?
Something about that nose.
Back to this whole thing
every
that Tony
time
doesn't like to talk about sex around me. What is this?
We're news tonight. We bring up the word penis. Our lesbian anchors all go,
Not Faye.
No. It's more like
Faye,
Well, it's a
like
scientific
penis.
fact that, the clitoris in women tends to have so many.
do tell, Patricia. Say it slowly.
oh my God.
Can you put some theme music on, Steve? Say it slowly.
Do it, Patty.
wow.
Make love to the camera.
They have what? Tell me, they have what?
Love
Yeah.
to the camera.
They have so many, I forget, neurotransmitters or whatever it is that, our pleasure, and it's double that of men. So if the dolphins have half of what we women have, dolphins. I don't think
I've never wanted to be a dolphin till
next
now.
story would be that, the dolphins are not having sex with men, and they're just all these lesbian dolphins.
I dated a dolphin once.
I believe that.
A week later, he asked for a trade. So
I believe, well,
My God. But
I
you
believe the first iteration.
But you can actually look on YouTube and you can find videos of, some dolphins getting a little, not handsy, but obviously trying to rape
Flipsy.
a person in a pool. And it's like, oh my God, how cute. Wait a minute, we just met.
I hear that it doesn't, for some dolphins, it doesn't matter what the hole is. They'll go for it. The blowhole, it doesn't make any difference at all.
How is that different
like
from
Tony.
gay men?
It sounds just like Tony.
I was going to say, how is that different from gay men?
Wait, let's pause one moment. that Tony Lima instantly identifies with the observation that you just made about dolphins. Wow.
And
All right.
also that you can't tell your friends everything.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Clearly.
Because they call you out
That's
on
right.
television.
Your
right,
friends or just Faye?
Wait
To
till
be
we-
honest, it's just Faye.
Wait till we get to Roku. Wait, just
Oh,
wait.
Lord.
All right, next up, trans contestant Amy Schneider has become an icon of representation and a fantastic role model, showing that anyone can be smart and successful. I'd swallow that. Question number 4. I'm not shocked when LGBTQ community is watching Jeopardy at 7:30 p.m. like they watch in loyalty RuPaul's Drag Race. Do y'all agree with that? I'm not shocked. All
I
right.
agree. Listen, I stopped watching and just like that, and now I'm watching Jeopardy. All right, this is me, literally me. All right, I'm dumb as rocks, and I am learning so much from Jeopardy. Ask me anything.
Wait, could you write
What
that
is Mean Girl?
right?
Oh, that was
Exactly.
awesome.
And by the way, could you write I'm dumb as a box of rocks on a napkin for me and sign and date it
Never.
for me?
Al, you and I were out last Friday night.
Oh, tell that story, John.
And
That's
we
really
were
cool.
at a bar on the drive, and we were in there. It was like just after happy hour. It was like 7:30, obviously. And I asked for them to put on, and this is a bar that shows a lot of sports. And I asked them to put on.
Sports bar.
You're a sports bar.
It is the gay sports bar. And I asked them to put on the episode, and I had to ask them a couple times because they were like, "Well, we don't show Jeopardy." I'm like, "Well, you oughta." But nobody else really cared until you got up and made people watch, which was fabulous because
Hold on,
you
hold
know
on.
how to hold a room.
How did
but
he
also
make
people
people
started
watch?
caring.
We were at Final Jeopardy, and I asked one of the principal bartenders at Gym Bar, I said, would you mind, here we're at Final Jeopardy, and here's what's happening, and this is why it's important. Would you mind if I made an announcement about what was getting ready to happen, and you turned the sound down of all of the televisions? He turned all of the televisions down for a moment, and in the middle of the bar, John and I said, wait, I want to turn your attention to Jeopardy, and here's what's happening. And an LGBTQ representative who is trans is in Final Jeopardy and going to be, at that time, the 33rd chance of winning in a row. And the entire bar stopped talking, and watched the conclusion ending of watching her win in a gay sports bar.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Aren't you more surprised that more LGBTQ people don't know?
Yes, I'm very surprised.
And that may be a good thing and a bad thing. Again, that 83-year-old person that's in Arkansas or wherever they're at, that they've never met a trans person in their life, and now they're seeing someone win all this money with all this knowledge. Great thing.
And the answer to your question, Faye, we're really, really good friends with Tony, and we know how hard it is to get his attention on anything. He's like a squirrel. And until he's not a squirrel, he's a squirrel.
This is shiny, and I'm looking in that direction. You know what I would say is, if it wasn't a trans woman, and it was a very good-looking gay man, would the story be different?
Bam, it would be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wow,
But
you're
that's
right.
a really good point.
You're
If,
right.
if it was a lesbian,
Yep.
nope, it wouldn't be as interesting
No.
to our community. Yeah.
But I just feel like it's great. I love it. I'm an avid Jeopardy watcher. Nora and I watch Jeopardy pretty much every night. And
Of course.
and of course
Really, I hope that's not all you do.
This is why we don't talk about sex,
I really
Patty.
hope. Dolphins.
Wait,
Patricia, dolphins.
we were
not
talking
all
about
dolphins.
dolphins. How did
That's
you get
not
away
all
from
we
dolphins?
do, but we do watch it. We do watch it all.
Oh, you do it while you're watching? Oh my
my
God! I love
God.
Nora even more.
Faye's
Sometimes, but
playing-
I find I'm really happy to be seeing the representation, but I also in a way feel bad because I'm like, this show has been going on for so many years, and this is the first transgender contestant to be on the show.
Yeah.
So it's also kind of sad because this should have happened years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's great. We've reported that tonight she's won episode 36, The Machine Continues.
Go, Amy.
We're covering it at Queer News Tonight every single night until the last episode for Amy Schneider, which we hope is at least 24 more shows because she would hit an all-time record.
And I hope she wins lots and
Yeah,
lots
go
of money.
Amy, go. We're
Go,
really
Amy.
proud. And also, don't you think it's cool that Ken Jennings is the host doing it? The winningest Jeopardy contestant in history is the host of Amy
Yes.
Schneider's.
But he was much happier at the beginning of this whole thing. Now you see him sweat. Now he's kind of like, yo, this girl's gonna beat me.
She's coming for my record.
She might just beat my record.
I just miss Alex Trebek.
R.I.P.
Like with a mustache, of course.
R.I.P.
Wait, you turned Alex Trebek's death into you? Something about you?
I just love Alex Trebek.
Wow.
I knew I was gay when I used to see him on TV as a kid.
You're
I'd
still
be
gay,
like,
honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
you were
I
so
guess that's true.
All right. All right. Next up, let's consider what we call the best thing of the week. And it's happening out this week. It's called Like a Virgin. Now, we've already told you something about it. My Hollywood Pride celebrates its 100% HRC rating and its brand new Pride Festival, January 22nd. What do y'all think about what we think is the best thing of the week?
Where do we begin? It's Pride. And and somebody was saying like, oh, do we need another Pride? Hell yeah, we need another Pride. Yes, of course. And it's a day to celebrate our unity and to celebrate how far we've come. And Hollywood's such a dope city. Like, they deserve their own Pride. I think it's going to be a lot of fun on Saturday.
It's an extremely localized Pride, and that's what I think is especially exciting, because it will have that very distinct hometown feeling to it all. I've said this before, I'm a Hollywood resident, so I'm starting to take some pride in where I've been living for the last 6 months, and I really appreciate with Todd Delmay and Jeff Oliverio and Jameer Baptiste and everyone working on this Pride, what they've done to try to make it hyper local and very focused and unique to Hollywood.
And they're promoting all the local businesses. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And from logistics getting around to the entertainers coming to just the pride that the organizers are taking that are from Hollywood or the Hollywood area is exciting. So check out this week's SFGN. There's going to be a map. There's going to be the logistics on how to get around and just a preview of the fun. And and it's incredibly well written.
Well, and you wrote it, right? That's why, John?
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
All right, good.
Shameless plug number 17.
Yes, exactly.
It's still early in the show, Tony.
So come out and support.
You know what's interesting to me about this Pride, which I really love. It bodes well for this Saturday. First off, I hope you come. Hollywood Boulevard, of course. There's a few sketchy people that live on Hollywood Pride.
Why did I think I was free and clear?
No,
he just had to hit me.
No, exactly.
You can't park at my house. Not
no.
now.
Oh, no, I have VIP parking. Thank you. So
She's so
one of the
shady.
things, one of the things I think is really great about this is having done so many Prides, Prides can be commercial institutions. I mean, at the end of the day, let's face it, frequently we get caught up and we need the commercial support and sponsorship because it's very expensive to host parades and main stages of entertainment, etc. My Hollywood Pride being the first time, this is a first-time event. And what is really clear in all of the conversations we're hearing about My Hollywood Pride is that this is really kind of a hometown approach in the gayest place on planet Earth. Come on, we are a mammoth LGBTQ community, but My Hollywood Pride hasn't succumbed to that. It's very hometownish. So businesses are supporting. I heard one restaurant that has printed shirts for all of their employees for the day. First time ever embracing the LGBTQ community. My goodness, how can we want more than that? To celebrate our pride from a straight business that says, welcome to Hollywood.
Well, and the family friendliness of it, Al, is also like a big thing that I think it's just so perfect. We have a friend of the show, Misty Eyes, is going to be reading to children. Story time with Misty Eyes. I mean, just think about that. Wow.
Yeah. And Main Stage Entertainment. Tell about your interview with Karina Iglesias from NBC's The Voice.
The Voice. Oh my gosh, she's just so beautiful. What a great LGBTQ plus representation. She was on The Voice back in season 4, I believe. And she's just incredible. Karina Iglesias will be headlining and she'll be performing at 1 o'clock on the main stage at My Hollywood Pride this Saturday.
And we're showing you a picture of it right now. And by the way, at the main stage on Hollywood Boulevard, we are going to have an extensive presence of Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. We are principal sponsors. I have to tell you, we sponsor lots of things in the community. We're very happy to support things in our community. This has been a unique pleasure for me. It's been a unique pleasure for me to embrace this new Pride Festival and event because it represents, but more importantly, it reflects on our community so well. And I just know this Saturday, I personally, with all of the jaded viewpoint that I have in our community, I'm going to go to this and get kind of rejuvenated of going, wow, this is amazing for LGBT. Except for some of the people that live on Hollywood Boulevard.
I was going to say, that's like a lofty wish to be rejuvenated. And then I got what you were saying. I was like, oh, he means something different. There you go.
Oh, John, you're so shady. Oh, wait. So am I. All right. Now, let's move on to our segment called What's on Your Mind? Oh yes, I do have it. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I almost got scared.
And I'm still drinking, by the way.
I know. I've got 2 more shots. I'm gonna suck on them through the rest of the show. The shots, rather. We're gonna do what's on your mind.
Oh, wow.
Each host is going to tell us in just 30 seconds what's important to them this week. But remember, it's got to be in just 30 seconds, or you're going to hear this bell. There it is. All right. Let's begin with FayWhat. What's on your mind this week?
This is what's on my mind. So if you live in the Bible Belt, you live in the Bible Belt. If you live in Tornado Alley, that's where you live. If you live in California, you deal with the earthquakes, right? Okay. I live in Florida for a reason because I don't like to plow snow. I hate cold weather, except I like how it makes my nipples feel. But now, aside from that, so I live here in South Florida. So don't get mad at me when I post my pictures of me in a tank top when it's winter time where you live, okay? I didn't tell you to stay in New York, New Jersey. I moved to South Florida. So don't get mad at me for that.
Absolutely. And LGBT America, move to South Florida. You're welcome, and we would like you. John Hayden, what's on your mind this week?
New York gun laws are under attack. They have helped prevent that state from having a Pulse-like massacre or a massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. This last Sunday in Times Square, Gays Against Guns held a huge rally because this issue is going before the has already been before the Supreme Court and will be ruled on later this year. Manuel Oliver, who was the parent of one of the victims at Stoneman Douglas, was there. He founded Change the Ref, and he talked with me about how important it is to stand up with other groups, and said, I love my son, I lost my son, and now I live for my son who's not here.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And Tony Lima, what's on your mind this week?
What's on my mind this week, Al, is that we all, as LGBTQ people, have to absolutely represent our community in every way, shape, or form. I think it's important for us to be who we are, our authentic selves in public as much as possible. What I mean by that is, I'm not suggesting in any way, shape, or form that you go out and get crazy with PDA. But if you want to hold hands this weekend at my Hollywood Pride, you should. If you want to put your arm around your partner, you should. The idea of having pride events and of visibility is to show the greater community that may not be inclusive, that we exist and we are human beings just like they are. We love, we live, we laugh, and we thrive.
Absolutely. That's what's on your mind. And our attorney, I'm looking forward to this. What's on your mind this week?
Dolphins.
No. What's on my mind this week is voting rights. I mean, we need to all wake up. What they're trying to do in different legislatures around the country is very critical. All these laws that are being passed to block people from getting water in a 2-3 hour line to vote, like making it illegal, making it a crime for you to give somebody a bottle of water when they're maybe dehydrated, or even bringing them food if they've been standing in line for 4 or 5 hours. How is it illegal to give another human being just food and water so that they can vote? Like, that is just ridiculous, and we all really need to wake up and really give a big pushback against this, because with voting rights and preventing folks from voting, basically they're also these people are gonna be making the laws for us and making decisions for us that are not gonna be very friendly to our community. So I ask everyone to please take this issue up and write to your congresspeople and say that you will not stand for this.
Thank you very much. Gave you a little more than 30 seconds because voting rights is so important. Next, let's catch up with the news from the world of entertainment. Fashion legend Andre Leon Talley has died. He was 73. Talley, a former Vogue creative director, passed away Tuesday at a hospital in White Plains, New York. Texas anesthesiologist Dr. Yvonne Cormier, a friend of Tally's for 45 years after they met at Brown University, told the Houston Chronicle that he had passed away from complications from coronavirus. Our entertainment topic of the week, iconic LGBTQ Vogue editor Andre Leon Talley dies, leaving many, many questions. What do y'all think about this?
Where do we begin? Like, he was just such a big person in stature, in experience, in life, in clothing, in everything. And to me, he just, he was on America's Top Model as one of the judges. And, he was just larger than life. To me, he just screamed gay, but he wasn't really gay. Like when he would be in interviews, when they would interview him and talk to him about his fashion sense. And, that was kind of like a weird thing, I think, for me, per se.
We've lost an icon.
Yes.
We've lost someone that was really, really important in the history of fashion. And as a Black queer man, we needed that representation in the 80s and 90s and beyond. I think it's tragic, like Faye says, that he wouldn't openly identify as gay. He was known to have said that he was bisexual at one point, but the reality is that this guy was a queer icon.
Why do y'all think he did that? Why, he's tagged with the very famous line, "I don't like to be identified as gay," meaning he's gay, but he doesn't like to be called gay. Why do you think he did that? What was behind that? I know you're guessing, but do a
maybe it was.
guess.
I mean, I guess maybe from growing up, right? Being openly gay in the Black community is not always very welcoming. So I would say maybe it was just something that he just really didn't identify with, and he just maybe wanted to just not have that label on himself.
Yeah, but that's something you do like for your mom and dad if they're alive, where you're like, oh, let me not be, super out because my parents, whatever. He was 73. His parents are well and gone already.
But I think maybe he just didn't like the label. Maybe he just didn't like the word. Like he just didn't want to be labeled.
Of Vogue. In the fashion.
You don't get more gay than that, Al.
I mean, it's like.
But I mean, there's back to Patty's point, like he was a Black man first and foremost, I'm sure. He grew up in a certain time. When he died, he was 73. He probably carried a lot of shame and trauma along with him.
Okay, even if he did, let me rephrase the question, which I think is interesting. Are we mad that he didn't embrace our community in the way he should? Are we mad about it?
I'm not mad at all. Like, he was gayer and larger than life, wearing capes and God knows what, fashion concoction he was wearing.
Yeah,
at
but
the
when
time.
they asked him to represent, he wouldn't.
Yeah,
and he had such a huge platform to do so. I'm not going to say I'm mad. Mad is not the correct word for it. But I feel like that's out because we need all the representation, okay? How about someone like this that would have such a vast, huge following and would be able to touch so many people and in the same breath say, I'm part of the LGBTQ community. Those are the people we need.
Yeah,
but I feel like that's a double standard a little bit because, I mean, Walter Mercado was also never identified as gay. He never disclosed his sexuality, and all the Hispanic moms and everybody adored him. And we never talked about him like that, like saying, oh, he should have come out and he should have represented. What did he care? He was famous and all this stuff. We never said that when he passed away not too long ago.
Because we knew he was gay, like we know about Andre Leon Talley.
Yeah, I'm not mad that Leon.
Wait, but like 3 months ago, Elvira came out and we had a completely different conversation. Now, granted, she was alive when she chose to tell her truth, but it was her path and her burden to carry or relieve herself of, and I think it was this way with him. So if this was the path that he chose, I can't be mad at him.
Yeah. I'm not. I think he was still a queer icon regardless. He didn't have to say it. You don't always have to say it.
Let me push it in a different way. Harvey Milk said before his death, if you're a garbage truck operator and you're gay, come out and tell everybody you're gay. And the reason is because somebody that appreciates you picking up the garbage and that you're gay means that you'll think differently about gay people. Isn't it true in this exact same conversation? He had the opportunity as a Black gay man, as a Black, very large, heavy gay man, in the influence that he had in the fashion industry, to tell somebody in Lincoln, Nebraska that loved something that Vogue did to change their attitude on gay. So he had an obligation, in Harvey Milk's words, to come out.
No one in Lincoln, Nebraska is reading Vogue, first of all. Like, let's just start there. And I disagree completely. I think the way he lived, the way he presented himself visually, the people he associated with, that was queer enough for me. I am not mad by far. I didn't need him to say that he was openly gay. I know he was gay.
Do the rest of you agree with that?
I agree with Tony. I don't feel like there's an obligation to come out, right? It's great if you do it. It obviously would, the more visibility for the community, the better. Hopefully what we're hoping is that the more visibility, the more acceptance, but that's not always a direct correlation, right? Because we also see in a lot of stories, the more visibility, the more in danger we are, the more crime against our community occurs. So I don't feel like it's an obligation. I feel like each person should be able to come out when they're ready and when is their time. And maybe if unfortunately they, the time never reaches them and they pass away, it is what it is. I'm not mad at him.
One final question in the subject of the many questions that are relating to his tragic death. He will be missed. The only person on the planet that probably will not miss him is the Devil Wears Prada herself. She said horrible things about him at the end and never recanted them. One other related question. He had an obligation to come out in a way that he should have come out, because he would have helped people that didn't have the ability of the privilege that he had. At the end of the day, he's wealthy, he's famous, he's creative, he's successful, and if he would have, especially being black, he would have told a whole cadre of black young boys and girls, but especially boys, it's okay. And he really harmed his own community by not doing it. What do you think about that?
I feel like he lived in a niche world where young black boys are completely unaware of who this man was because of what he did for a living. That's why it's so important when a football star, when a basketball star, when a rapper comes out as gay, because those are the people that young urban folks are looking to as people to emulate. I don't think that was the case for Andre Leon Talley. I think he lived in a very niche world. He was probably tokenized quite a bit because he was the black guy living within the fashion world in the shadow of Anna Wintour. So he didn't have to feel that responsibility necessarily. Right? If you ask a black person, I'm sure just a young black person who Andre Leon Talley was, they wouldn't be able to tell you because it's not of relevance to them. You know what I mean? If you ask them about a gay player of sorts, whoever that may be, they're like, oh yeah, I want to be just like that person. Like no one wants to grow up necessarily within this world that we're talking about to wear big capes, right? And to walk around as part of Fashion Week and following Anna Wintour around. That's not even something that's possible.
I'm not sure I agree with that, but any other observations, comments that we want to make? Of course, we're very sad on the loss.
73, he could have come out a couple of years ago, and maybe somebody old that was in the closet thinking that maybe it wasn't safe for them to come out, that would have catapulted somebody else out the closet. So, I mean, maybe, maybe he wouldn't have helped the young black boys, Tony, but he would have helped somebody else being out. We need every single person that we can get to get that goal that we see over the horizon. There's just not enough of us.
Yeah. At the same time, though, I just don't feel like we should shame someone into saying it's your duty to come out. I also feel like we can't take the hard line because we all came out when we felt comfortable and ready. Like me being somebody who came out later in life, I was 29. I mean, it took me many, many years when I came out. So I don't feel like we should shame someone and saying like you should have done this because we need the representation. I also don't feel that that's fair.
Yeah. I just remind all of y'all I'm the host of It's Happening Out and I'm required to ask these kind of questions.
Not for very long.
Shady. All right. Well, that's our discussion on entertainment. Very interesting. Next, we report that the Happening Out Television Network helps support our LGBTQ community. An example is Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. And we are broadcasting from our permanent set, the Happening Out Television Studios here at Sunshine, in supporting that partnership. The network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ religious broadcast in the world, with more than 30,000 watching every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. And by the way, that is also going to broadcast television, and it's totally live. We encourage you to tune in. Our campaign of sponsorship proudly supports Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church. Watch.
Hello, my name is Peter Basuito, also known as My Big Funny Peter. I'm an internationally known comedian and entertainer, and the Sunshine Cathedral is definitely my queer church.
Well, up next, if we were standing around an LGBTQ water cooler, this is what we think we'd all be talking about. We refer to it as our hot topic of the week. LGBTQ people say they've experienced discrimination at higher levels in 2021 than the year before, with more than 6 in 10 LGBTQ respondents reporting discrimination based on sexual orientation and/or gender identity. So our hot topic this week reports on a new GLAAD study, and GLAAD reports greater LGBTQ visibility has actually increased harassment of our LGBTQ community. Visibility equals more discrimination. What do y'all think about this?
I would think that if a person was watching or was very obsessed with, like, for example, Pose, and then they go to work and then they start talking about this show that they're watching, right? It would call them out as someone that's gay, even if they were in the closet, you know, at work. You know, so maybe that has brought up our visibility to some degree, and that makes people that don't want us to be here angry. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess the more you see us, the more that something like this could happen.
Yeah, and bullying is the mark of the intellectually deficient. I mean, let's just be honest. That's not news or anything like that. But I think it also ties us back into the story that we did before the Sunshine Cathedral break. That some people know this and have seen, you know, what can happen, and maybe that keeps them from coming out and being visible and representing the way that we would like them to and need them to.
I feel like, I mean, it's a shame that it occurs, but it's also a big pushback to the norm, right? Like, we don't, you know, the LGBTQ community has always been seen as something different, something that's going to destroy what the quote unquote norm of society is, right? So the more visibility there is, the more people would equate to, like, oh my God, there's more of them. So now we have to push back even more, because now they're increasing in numbers, right? So it's really shameful, but I mean, I don't even know what else to say.
It's a response to a perceived threat, right? We're more visible. We're more visible on the airwaves. We're more visible in sports. We're more visible in every way, shape, or form. So there's a natural fear of that for those who oppose us. That's why there's a direct correlation. I think it's a very sad thing, but it should also inspire us to be more visible than ever. It'll get to a point where we will just become the status quo, what's normal, and no one will question it anymore or try to fight against it. So it's really a matter of being as visible and being that representation of our community in order to educate and help bring down those walls of discrimination.
Tony, when advocacy, you were executive director of SAVE, one of the most important advocacy organizations for LGBT in the country. You advocate all the time. You have vast experience of our panel tonight. You represent that, thankfully, and we appreciate it. But when do we get there?
Oh, Elle, that's the question that keeps us all scratching our heads. We will get there eventually. The issue is the intensity. We can't stop. We have to be relentless. We have to continue educating. We have to continue having the conversations with people that don't support us. We have to continue being visible because, as we always talk about, representation matters in every way, shape, or form. So I can't tell you when we'll get there, but I can tell you in our intensity to represent ourselves well and to be visible, we will get there sooner than later.
Tony, I'm curious in terms of your reaction. Let me bring my mother into this conversation. My mother would argue with you now in terms of what you just said. When I came out, and my mother found out in my late 20s that I was gay, what she said to me was, okay, I can accept you being gay, but be quiet. And the reason you should be quiet is I'm fearful for you. And exactly what this topic is. If you're quiet out, you're straight. Nobody will know you're gay. If I didn't want anybody to know I'm gay, nobody would know I'm gay. So as a result, her advice is be quiet. That was her words for it. To the point that you just made, we keep working, we keep pushing, we keep fighting, but the keep pushing and the keep fighting means that we are actually discriminated against more. So my question seems relevant. When do we get there? Because if we do more, it's going to get worse.
I think there's a natural power in numbers. The more they see us, the more that initially they will try to fight us and they will fear us and there will be all this discrimination, but eventually we will reach that tipping point where it will just be normal. There's also evolution generationally, right? Like there's less folks reacting like your mom did in 1942, right? So that was just a little bit of shade.
And there are people in our community.
You're dead to me.
You love me.
You know that there are people in our community that after the marriage equality passed, they just said, okay, we're done. We don't need to do anymore.
Right.
That's
and that's scary crap because, these anti-trans bills, there's so much hate out there towards us. We've got to stand up.
You just said something that's key though. Like as gay and lesbian white folks, because everyone here, although Al doesn't really think I'm white, I'm as white as they come. We have a lot of privilege. Yeah, you are the whitest guy, but look at me, I'm kind of pink
Everybody
and white
on
like
your screen right now is passable.
Is passable.
Yeah.
We have a certain level of privilege.
Yeah.
And that's why when all of the white folks that were fighting for marriage, they thought they reached the peak, the tip of the iceberg. But the reality is that they weren't thinking about their black and brown and transgender siblings, right? And that's the thing. That's the new frontier, so to speak. That's what we have to fight for, which is why representation matters more than ever. Why this Amy lady on Jeopardy matters, although she's also a white person. It would be great if she was, African American or Latinx. But it's important for us to continue representing ourselves and pushing forward as much as possible.
Let me ask you in a different way. Allow me for a moment to just shock many, many, many people. The last year of Donald Trump, who is arguably one of the worst things that we have ever seen in our lifetime. Let's just generally agree. Worst thing we've ever seen in our lifetime. 46% of the LGBTQ community say that discrimination was so significant, and that's what the GLAAD statistics report, his last year. Trump is the devil for our community, 46% say. Joe Biden comes into office, arguably the most embracing LGBTQ president in history, and Joe Biden brings, and I lay it at the feet of the President of the United States, whoever the president is. That president laid at his feet is actually making it worse. 59%. A 13% increase say it's terrible for us. And our president is Joe Biden. It was caused by the thinking process of a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. What do y'all think about that?
I think we're still suffering from the effects of all the hate that Trump spilled against our community. So I think those people that really thrive on that hate that he spewed, right? Because a lot of us kept on scratching our heads and it's like, look at all the things he's saying, look at all the things he's doing, like how do you not get it? But there's some people that like really connected to that hate, right? That hate of others, that hate of our community. And I feel like that has just, kind of growing a little bit, right? And we're still seeing the effects of the damage he caused.
Anybody else want to weigh in? It's Biden's fault.
No, it's absolutely not Biden's fault.
Because?
Well, as she said, these waves don't turn on a dime. It had been building before Donald Trump got in there. And if we look back historically, just 1964, we had Voting Rights Acts and, the LBJ landslide. And then America reacted and elected Nixon not once but twice. We had marriage equality in 2015. Then we suffer Pulse and we suffer Donald Trump. I think that these things build. It sounds trite to say they go in cycles, but cycles don't just end one day. And so I believe that this is still sort of riding a wave, and it's going to.
Let me ask you one final question related to the GLAAD report, which is super interesting. More advocacy and visibility equals more discrimination. That's the premise of the GLAAD report. I'm broadly summarizing it, of course. Is it going to get better? 22, is it going to get better? 23, is it going to get better?
I believe it will, but we also have to be, we have to look at all the areas that we're attacking. And earlier I talked about voting rights, right? So next year they'll be voting for like Congress, right? And stuff like that. And this is why these voting laws are being put in place so that folks who are LGBTQ friendly don't get elected. And I feel like if we don't do something to stop it, then it's not going to get better, right? So we need to be on the lookout and not just say, oh, we want marriage equality, we've made it. No, we need to look at what other avenues are they trying to attack us on, and we need to all come together and really give a voice to this and push back against it, because we need to vote more people in that are friendly to our community so that we do have a turn.
I think yes, slowly but surely, right? From a political standpoint, what Patty was just talking about. From an advocacy standpoint, what we do on this show, on the series of shows that we produce on a daily basis, the work that I do personally with SunServe, the work that organizations like Equality Florida is constantly doing. Like, it's a matter of continuing to push the envelope, educating, representing, and continuing to have this dialogue. The more we push, eventually, we will tip the scales and we will be accepted. It's going to take years, but we'll get there.
I haven't done this in a long time, but let's take a little quick flash poll. Do you all agree with GLAAD's consensus of their report survey that the greater visibility has led to greater discrimination? Patricia, do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
And Tony?
I do.
And Faye?
I can see that, yeah.
And John?
I mean, I can see it. I haven't read the studies or seen the dynamics of how it was done. I just hope it's an educational study and not an anecdotal study, but I can totally sign on to the premise.
All right. Well, we'll follow this closely. 2022 obviously is a very big year with the midterm elections coming. Let's move out of our hot topic of the week and let's explore other LGBTQ plus, our LGBTQ plus world this week. Let's try to do some silly stories and some important headlines in LGBTQ news this week. A lightning round of sort. Let's discuss them in our segment called Saved by the Bell. But of course, there's a twist. We're only going to discuss each one of these for just 1 minute. And at the end of the minute, you're going to hear, of course, the famous bell to stop and move on. So here we go. Jorge, should I say George or Jorge?
It was Jorge.
Jorge Diaz Johnston, 54, had not been seen since January 3rd when his body was found at a Jackson County landfill on January 8th, roughly 90 miles west of where he was seen in Tallahassee last, authorities said. Saved by the Bell headline number 1, Florida gay rights activist connected to the Florida marriage equality decision was found dead this week in a landfill, prompting a homicide probe. What do y'all think?
He did make history. He was one of the voices that didn't want to wait for the freedom to marry to be granted to the state of Florida by the U.S. Supreme Court.
Tonight, the South Florida LGBTQ community is mourning the sudden death of a changemaker. Jorge Diaz Johnston, seen here in 2014, helped pave the way for marriage equality in Florida. He was found dead last weekend near Tallahassee landfill. Police suspect foul play in the 54-year-old's death and are investigating it as a homicide.
It's heartbreaking because they fought so hard for their love to be enshrined and to be able to enjoy the institution of marriage, and for the marriage to end in this way, in this gruesome, heartbreaking way, there are no words.
Elizabeth Schwartz was an attorney and activist who represented Diaz-Johnson and 5 other couples in 2014. They filed a lawsuit challenging Florida's ban on same-sex marriage in Miami-Dade. Diaz-Johnson told NBC6 then why it was important.
This is clearly, for us, it's not just only a question of love and wanting to express our love and have the benefits that everyone else has in the state, but it's an issue of equality, and it's a civil rights issue.
A county judge ruled the ban unconstitutional a year before the Supreme Court legalized gay marriage.
He was a powerful voice. He was a sensitive, thoughtful voice. It's no easy thing to be a plaintiff in such a high-profile case like that. You put your life on trial, and he was game. He really helped change hearts and minds, and so we're just eternally grateful.
Now the future generations of gays and lesbians that come behind us won't even remember this day, and that makes me happy. So we're very proud.
Wow. What did we think?
I had not seen a video of him talking. George was a friend. Jorge was a friend. And I would not be sitting here today sober 7 years if it wasn't for him. Early sobriety, you get a white chip every time you relapse. And I had enough white chips to freaking tile your bathroom floor because I just could not stay sober. And on one of my relapses, George brought me back, and he made me go back to a 12-step program. And that's why I'm sitting here today. So it's him and Don are incredible men and trailblazers and everything that they did for our community. And now he's dead and found in a landfill in Tallahassee, unrecognizable. How does that happen to someone that is part of our community and that has done so much? I have no idea. I hope that they find the person who did this soon. And I'm sorry for crying, guys.
And from a high-profile family, his brother was former City of Miami Mayor Manny Diaz.
And he never boasted about that.
Never, ever. I knew them both well. They lived at Miami Shores for a long time, where I used to live as well. We worked together on many issues. George was also one of the founders of the new generation of SAVE and pushing forward for the Human Rights Ordinance in 1998. So he goes back that far. He did a lot of work to support and to further our community. And it's just shocking that this is what the end was like for him.
Yeah, it's a very sad story. When Martin Luther King Jr. was fighting for civil rights, he used churches as centers of communication to spread the word about events, similar to how social media is used today. Saved by the Bell headline number 2. MLK, Martin Luther King Day was this week, and MLK's fight for equality changed the way LGBTQ America protests. We learned it from Martin Luther King. What do y'all think?
Do you know that he had a gay advisor?
Yeah.
Baird Rustin.
Yeah.
It was incredible to read all about him because I was looking up MLK and LGBTQ. It doesn't say anywhere that he was for LGBTQ rights or anything like that, but he was for equality for all, as in all of us, black, white, whatever your sexual orientation was. And so this gentleman, Baird Rustin, was one of his organizers, and he organized the 1963 march.
That's exactly right.
And he was gay, and he was out gay. Like, he has a rap sheet of all the times that he got caught with men in the back of cars and stuff like that. He was not going to hide it no matter what. And they say it might have even helped, hindered the cause and the movement for that time. But no matter what, he would not be who he was. Isn't that incredible?
Incredible. What do y'all think about the connection of King's philosophy of protest and how we have adopted it in social media as a modern version of what he did? What do y'all think about that?
I mean, I hadn't really thought about the social media connection, but I was wondering when I read this, we didn't really follow his path in the beginning. He was, God bless him, he was nonviolent. That's what made him special and made him stand out. We had the Stonewall riots. We had, a generation later, we had ACT UP when no one would pay attention to the early AIDS crisis and the HIV crisis. So I think there's a lot to be learned, but I don't know if we really followed him as much as the article would think.
Okay. Well, after World War II, next, many prisoners were freed from concentration camps. LGBTQ plus individuals were often sent right back to jail, as being gay was illegal at the time. Saved by the Bell headline number 3. Austria's gay prison movie, Great Freedom, in the Oscar race hunt now. This movie, what do y'all think about showing what went on for the pink triangle during the Holocaust and the post-incarceration into prison for gay men?
About time the story is being told.
It's a piece of history that must be told. I hope it wins. It's got Oscar buzz already, so I hope that it's, really does win it.
And a different story from what we're used to hearing. I think that's what makes it most interesting. It's a different purview into what it was like to be queer during this time.
Yeah. Does it surprise you that the pink triangle, the adoption of pink in LGBT, is a steal from the Nazis in World War II of how they identified gay to put them in concentration camps and then the gas chambers? Does it surprise you that the LGBTQ community doesn't know about the pink triangle of the Holocaust for gay people?
Well, it was a reclaiming of that pink triangle and why we see it today and why we use it today. The same way the word queer used to be a really negative thing as a connotation or as a definition for the community. It's a reclaiming of something that once was very negative, and now we take our power from it.
All right, next up in Saved by the Bell, the book When Harry Became Sally has been criticized for its stance that gender dysphoria doesn't mean you are transgender and that it shouldn't be treated with surgery, implying that being transgender is a mental illness. Saved by the Bell headline number 4. Amazon bans the book on transgenderism. What do you think about what Amazon has done, the business decision of banning the book?
Well, I'm not for banning books just in general and on principle. It's an un-American thing, and as a journalist, it just cuts against my core. I also believe, though, in facts and things like that. I haven't read this book, so I really don't like to make a specific statement, but I think that in general, I would want to hear more about this because, God, I mean, book burning takes us back to our last story and the Holocaust and everything in Germany.
And what's crazy is that the writer wasn't even informed that they took the book off Amazon. He who knows how long it had been off, and somebody went to go search for his book and then told him, like, hey, it's gone. So when he went to Amazon to proclaim, like, hey, my book should be there, Amazon simply, that's all they said was, we have chosen not to sell books that frame LGBTQ plus identity as a mental illness. That's it. No more explanation, no nothing. So now he's getting a petition together and trying to get people to, make something to get their attention to try to get the book back on, and he's thinking that maybe he might not. But wow, I didn't know Amazon was in the field of freaking not allowing us to see books.
Not only that, but who makes that decision in Amazon, right?
Yeah.
What's the qualifications of those
right.
people?
All right.
Ring the bell again.
Yeah, right. A hairdresser who went by Duval Princess has been killed on January 3rd. Already the second trans murder in the United States in 2022. While friends said that Duval Princess identified as trans, media and even her own family gendered them as he and dead named her. Saved by the Bell headline number 5. Jacksonville's black trans woman, Duval Princess, is shot and killed. Another trans death.
Here we go.
This is so sad, but even sadder that the family, even in death, couldn't honor her, right, with her proper name.
Yeah, that kills me. And
that's what happens.
And what media does that too. We're media. I hate that.
Yeah. That's just a sad reality, right? That this happens to a lot of trans people when they pass. Like, their families, for the most part, are the culprits. And I not to take it back to the last topic, but the reason why Amazon removed that book was because trans people do not have psychological issues. It is not a mental illness. Trans people are just people like everyone else. And I think that goes along with this as well. These people are not respected. Their families think that there's something wrong with them, which is why they keep to their assigned gender at birth.
Well, we're out of time, but at Queer News Tonight especially, and because we're the news show, and in our conversation here at It's Happening Out, one of the things I really don't look forward to in 2022 is the trans death count that inevitably we're going to be doing. I just hate that. Finally, tonight, we're the LGBTQ community. So what does that mean? Of course, it means sex and relationships. Wait, I took the words right out of your mouth tonight. And apparently Patricia too, because both of y'all like the Dolphins so much. So let's play another game. And our game asks, who would you do and what would you do with 3 different interesting people? Tonight, our game, of course, is Shag, Marry, Chop. And it's kind of, we're out of the formality of New Year's. We're out of the first week of going, oh, we're going to do this and this and this. And we're casually getting back into a more casual sweatpants season.
What?
So let's celebrate sweatpants season.
Did you say that correctly?
Yeah. So this week we are going to play with Diego Barros, Mike Chabot, and Labar Jeremiah, the dancer. And they're all in sweatpants. So let's play Shag, Marry, Chop. And let's begin with Patricia. You're a big fan of sweatpants, are you?
Not
Dolphin
really.
Girl?
Not really.
Poor
No.
Patty and these dolphins.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would. I don't even know who to pick.
Yeah, you have to
I
shag
think
somebody.
I would shag Diego, maybe.
Why?
Because he looks hot.
Yeah.
He looks hot.
His sweatpants have an interesting representation.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
and
is that?
Yeah, he has interesting moves.
Yeah, no, I wasn't talking about it.
I wasn't talking about the moves either.
And you're clearly not a gay man. And
Right.
and who would you marry?
I think I would marry Mike because he's holding a little puppy, so I might be sweet.
I'm gonna marry him because he has a dog. Okay, and then Jeremiah gets.
Jeremiah, unfortunately,
that's just
he's a little too much for me.
yeah, too much. Probably in many ways.
Yeah.
And that was a good joke, by the way. And John, who are you going to shag?
We're shagging Jeremiah
Why?
because I just don't know what else there would be to do besides that. We're marrying Michael
Wait.
because I think he would have lots of interesting things to say and talk about.
Okay.
And then-
I'm curious. Why do you get that he's a good conversationalist from this?
Good question.
Okay, that's enough.
And then we'll chop Diego.
Okay, and in full disclosure, I pursued that, America, because John and I went to Johnson's on Friday night, and John is an expert on these kind of gentlemen. And Tony, who are you going to shag?
I am going to shag. Oh my God, this is so hard.
I'm going to read you no matter what you
I am
choose. I'm
going-
ready, like a spider getting ready to
I'm
jump.
going to shag Mike Chabot because the facial hair does it for me every time, and I like the tattoos. I'm going to
So cute.
maybe marry Jeremiah because he just seems very substantial from what I'm seeing. And Diego Barros, I would have to cut because we all know that I'm a raging top and I wouldn't be able to deal with what he has to offer.
John, you would throw that out.
Oh, I gave that to you. I gave that to you. Do something with it, Alfred.
And wait, I'm going to ignore that completely and return to Jeremiah. Define substantial in Shag, Marry, Chop. What is
So you didn't
substantial?
put John Hayden on the spot when he said he would have a lot to talk about, but you're putting me on the spot. It's the same kind of thing. I
Tell me
feel what
that
John is
means.
feeling.
Substantial is what?
Yeah, he just maybe we could have nice conversations and talk about world peace
World
and
peace,
film
that's
and
it.
Ah, okay,
poetry.
that's it.
You and Sandra Bullock. Got it.
Yeah.
And Faye, what? Who are you shagging?
What? So I am going to bend Diego over and shag him.
My God.
Oh,
So he's who I'm shagging for sure. He just is a hottie. Yeah, I don't
He's a
want to
hottie.
marry
did
him.
you
but
see
I
the front of the
definitely
pants,
shag him.
Faye?
No, I'm good with that. Let me finish. Let me finish looking at him. I'm going to marry Mike. Patricia, we're kindred spirits, girl. He had the puppy. I had to marry him, right? I mean, hello.
Right.
And I have to chop Jeremiah because he looks like my brother. If you guys, I'll show you a picture. It looks like my brother, so that's kind of gross. Yeah, my brother looks like Maluma. It's, ugh.
That's not a bad
Hey,
thing.
all right.
Maluma's adorable.
Well, we remind you, it's completely okay to have sweatpants season some of the time.
Hey, why
All
don't we get some Shag, Marry, Chops that are like, people that are normal bodies?
Yeah.
I was going to say, sweatpants don't look the same on everybody, Al Ferguson. They just don't.
And all right. Before we end the show, we're going to introduce you to our sponsor, and that's Jet's Pizza. Are you coming to South Florida? If you live here, have you tried the pizza of choice for the LGBTQ community? Well, of course, it's Jet's Pizza, and we're getting ready to enjoy it ourselves here in the studio. Well, that's it, South Florida. That's it, America. Another week with you and the world's first and most popular LGBTQ talk show in the world. Before we sign off, let's hear from our host one final time for a good night. And let's begin with a good night from Tony Lima.
Good night, mi gente. Thank you for joining us as you do, night after night, week after week. Continue to watch our programming, especially as we jump to these new series of platforms through Roku. How important to be able to share our programming, the bringing down the barriers of discrimination and really showing what LGBTQ people are. We are real people. We live real lives. We have a lot to offer. So share these shows with your friends. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Wear a mask and get vaccinated.
Yeah, thank you for being with us, Tony. And a good night from Patricia Hernandez.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for your support. It's been a pleasure being with you tonight and spending some time and offering some of my humble opinions. And I do hope that you share the show and our stories with everyone you know, because only minds will change if our stories are told.
Absolutely. And thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Go Lesbian Dolphins.
Latino Dolphins, right. Oh, God, I'm going to have that thought in my head all evening. And
tonight, I was going to be counting Lesbian Dolphins instead of sheep.
And would you please stop speaking? Thank you. And a good night from John Hayden.
Good night, everyone. On my way home from the studio, there is a place called Jerk Machine. I assume I'll be getting dinner from there, but even if it's not a restaurant, I sense that my evening will end happily.
Oh my.
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And good. You follow this, Faye. What?
Wow. How can I? Listen, it's impossible. The only thing that will keep me warm at night is that I have sex and John doesn't. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for always watching us here on It's Happening Out. It is my esteemed pleasure and honor to be here with these folks every Wednesday, especially my main man with a plan, Mr. Al Ferguson, whom I love and adore, and I'm so happy that he's back from his vacation. Make sure to catch me on Queer News Tonight, Monday and Wednesday, and the FayWhat morning show, Monday mornings at 9 a.m. Grab your cup of coffee and join me in bed.
Whoopi, you don't hear this kind of conversation on The View. Just saying you. So, is what you watched tonight important to you? You sat right here at the LGBTQ kitchen table right along with us. We invite you. February 1st, we're very excited. HappeningOut.com, for example, our website has become the 10,000th most popular website in the United States. Pretty good out of 2 billion.
That's crazy.
That's where we've gone. And on February 1st, we moved to Roku in broadcast television. You can watch us in bed. You can say to Siri at Apple TV, turn on It's Happening Out. And you can come right to us on Fire and Google Television. And we're going to be in broadcast. You'll be able to watch the show live right in Roku, which is loaded in 75% of all of the televisions in America. So lots of great things are going to happen in 2022, and we hope you come along right with us. We are here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. live. Don't forget, Queer News Tonight is daily at 8 p.m. Hotspots Magazine you can read along with WMEG events. Stonewall Pride will be here sooner than you think. Remember, if it's important to you, it's happening out. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, guys.